Okay. No. Do you want to be in this video? You're in this video. Yes, you are. Yes, this is Tashi. Yeah. Say hello, Tashi. Hmm.
Hello.
Good morning.
Yeah, and then there I am.
There you are. I knew you were there somewhere.
Yeah. Here we are.
Having a busy morning.
Sorry, what was that?
I said, are you having a busy morning?
A loud one for sure.
Well, what else could you expect?
Slightly less loud would be good.
Oh, you got a visitor.
I do. I have Tashi here this morning. He will be leaving shortly. How are you?
Great, David.
Should I say you lie?
No. So, just everywhere between awful and great, all at the same time.
Aha.
Depends what you would like to, want the info on. So,
Well, life is like that sometimes, isn't it?
yeah. How are you?
I'm good.
Good.
We're about to lose our tenant, but so if you know anyone looking for a place to rent.
Yeah. Don't, but I ran fear of one.
But yeah, his job has turned out lousy and he's going to Florida where he can get a good job.
Well, hope that works out for him.
I hope so too. We like him very much. And so, yeah. We hate the process of trying to find a new tenant, but
No, there's a lot of uncertainty there, right?
yeah.
Never know.
No. Love the video of the kids that Kaya sent us.
Yeah, I don't even know what video she's. So I'm glad you liked it. I don't.
Rowan was giving Lyra a hug.
Oh, that one, yes, that was very cute. Yeah, when he was saying bye to go up to his nap.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, it was cute. So it was nice. It was nice to see them. I couldn't believe how tall Lyra is.
Yeah. No, just this year it feels like she, not like doubled in height, but walked around a lot now. She goes, look how big I am. And like go next to something, and then she'll be like, "Can you show me how big you are?" So I'll do it. She'll go, "Whoa!"
Oh, I love kids.
Yeah, so that's fun.
Oh, that's good. That's good. Okay, well, back to just you and me, Andrew.
I know.
I tried to get you company, but
That's all right.
I look forward to a class in person someday to really see what you're doing.
I know. Close. I wrote down the date of them getting vaccinated, so we'll have to talk about how we feel about stuff, but soonish.
Yeah, cool.
Yeah.
So are the kids getting vaccinated?
Yeah. That's what I mean. Them.
Oh.
Yeah. No, we already are.
Yeah.
Yeah. So no, that's been the big thing, right?
Yeah.
Well, like, we are, but what if, and then what would happen? So I think it's in a couple of weeks. Well, we have an appointment to bring them in.
Yeah.
Oh.
Oh, great.
Yeah.
Good.
Yeah.
Okay. So do you arrive with any questions?
Oh, a lot.
A lot. Okay.
Yeah, I get, well, sort of, right. One, sort of, where are we? Two, because I feel like I feel like what happened was I don't have a consistent like like with the form, it's like do the form.
Yeah,
Or like break it down into pieces. For this, I'm very much like kind of don't feel like I have a do this and this and this and this. You know what I mean? So I can kind of, yeah.
the beginning of this is taking the opportunity to teach a lot of details that need to be included in all the movements you do,
Hmm.
Qigong or Tai Chi.
Right.
So yeah, it's our tendency is to get a little frustrated with not getting to more movement. And
Yeah.
we're almost there.
Okay. Yeah. I because like I mean, one is just not having a like I'm gonna go do work on this for this much time, and not getting interrupted. So that doesn't help. But so yeah, I guess that's I don't really have much more to say, I suppose, of just I feel like I kind of do some of the meditation, some of the scanning. What oh, that was it. I was putting clothes into my dryer, and it occurred to me that I really do not understand the like I don't remember any of the names at the moment.
Uh-huh.
If you're going back and pushing, how like if I'm moving backwards and I'm pushing away and down,
Uh-huh.
like how that works at all, because I like my hands end up not moving.
Yeah. You're talking about push downward in the form.
Yeah, but like but that principle of making a force one way while not going into it, more like on that. So not specifically that move, but just that principle of like I'm going to exert a force that way while moving away from it.
Oh yeah.
In
That's one of the unusual elements in Tai Chi. Absolutely.
right, and like with my feet, it makes sense a little bit, right? If I think, moving side to side, I'm like, okay. But so I don't know, throw that out there.
So part of that is very dependent on being clearly aware, particularly of the basic, basic four energies, Peng, Lu, Ji, and An, and how to express them, not dependent on the movement, but how to express them within any movement.
Mm-hmm.
So if we allow ourselves to be locked into the feeling that we have to be moving forward if we are pushing or hitting or whatever, that's fine. But what if the person that you're going to do this to is attacking you and you need to get out of the way of that attack, but at the same time deliver an energy that will deflect or stop them completely one way or another.
Right. Yeah.
So thinking about it from a martial standpoint. So that's part of what is going on when you have those retreating strikes or retreating movements where you have an outgoing energy while the body appears to be actually doing, in terms of 5 elements, you're doing a wood movement where you're sinking into the earth.
I guess because like conceptually, I'm like, yeah, I like that makes sense and I can get it. And especially, you know, with an example of someone coming at you, right? Because like I don't need to, I just need to essentially get in their way and not, and they'll do the work for me. I guess just so that, but really like having I just don't have a strong sense of like, I don't know, like coherence, I guess is the word, of when I'm trying to do something like that.
Mhm.
Am I actually doing it, or am I just like moving my arms as my body goes backwards? You know?
Better be doing something.
Right, right. And like I think I'm doing something, and then I'm like, so then I'm like trying to like push clothes into the dryer as I like go backwards so I can go get more clothes from the wash, and the clothes aren't moving because my hands aren't because like I'm moving backwards, so my hands are like not moving, and I'm like, oh, so it was just a funny moment where I was like, how,
Well,
you know what I mean? Like,
that's a great moment because it made you really stop and think about that.
I was like, this doesn't work. So
So the problem there was that indeed your arms were not doing anything.
right,
So as a result, the movement of your body was pushing you away from the clothes.
right, right.
So you have to, in order for that to work, you have to have an energy going outward from your arms at the same time that your body is retreating.
Not just leaving my arms.
I'm sorry?
I was like, okay, because I think I was really just leaving my arms behind.
Yeah.
And
that doesn't, that doesn't work.
no.
Does it? It's a very counterintuitive thing.
Yeah.
And the two principal ways it appears in our form is in push downward and G, a punch. And both of those are very strong energies, and you have to be able to feel that energy and project it in order to make that function. And
right.
I'm just not sure we're at that point yet.
Okay. That's fine. Yeah, and would make sense.
I think the important thing is the A, for it to make sense to you, and B, then to really recognize that one of the reasons why it's so important to do the 8 gate standing work is that each of those should feel energetically different.
Right.
And until you can begin to make those distinctions, till that begins to function for you, it's a little hard to apply them.
Yeah, it makes sense. Right.
Same thing is, those same energies, however, are appearing in preparation and beginning. So you can work on that there, because there you have those 4 very clearly doing appropriate movements with the energy. Not counterintuitive movements with the energy.
Right, right. that about the like the quality of the energy being different, I don't, because it's very odd where I'm like, it's not a question of like, can I feel it or not? I'm like, yeah, I can. I've never had a sense of like, I don't feel that, or like, what are you talking about? But but then when you talk about the quality, I'm like, I have no idea what you're talking about. Like, it's just stuff moving in different ways, and it's always just, you know, stuff, like, not, it never feels like supple or soft, or, you know, my parts of my
Yeah.
body might, but
So have I sent you the handouts on the 4 energies or 8 energies at any point?
probably you can be welcome to send them again. I can always just use more. The more copies I have, the more chance I will still have it later.
Because I could do that again very easily. It's not a problem.
That sounds good.
And it might be helpful to review those, and then we could talk about it and think about it in terms of movement.
Okay.
Master Joe did a really good discussion of those. Bruce does a really good discussion of the first 4 energies. So there, you know, there are good references, and they do feel different.
Right.
And I understand the difficulty with that, because goodness knows I went through that too. But when you open to that possibility and have some idea of what you're experiencing, again, it's the problem of, if you're really looking for it too hard, you won't find it.
Right. Yeah.
But also, if you are expecting to feel an energy that is sinking, and or you should be feeling an energy that's sinking, and you're not in any way aware of that, you may or may not feel it.
Yeah, so I guess that's the part that's strange, because like, I like directionally, right? If it's rising, if it's sinking, if it's spreading, if it's like the opposite of spreading, that's all really clear. But it's all, to me, like, that's just the direction it's going. It's like this concept of like quality.
Yep.
That I'm like, nope, it's just whatever it is going that way. So that'd be great. You know.
So the easiest one to experience, at least for most people, and I think it was for me, is Pung, which is the most yang of the energies, which is kind of an interesting concept, because our tendency is to think, oh, well, G is the energy of a strike, so it's got to be the most powerful. No, not necessarily. But Pung, the energy of ward off, is a force that is rising and moving outward. And our first movement in preparation, where we go into Pung, is really if you can get the energy to make that movement and not just your muscles, it has a very clear sensation. It's a very clear feeling. You can feel it causing that rising, outwardly moving force.
Okay. Because like, yeah, maybe that's a good hint. Because there's like, in Dragon and Tiger, I think it's like the 4th or 5th posture, where you're going through, you know.
Yep.
What is that called?
Tiger separates her cubs.
That is not the name I remember. Okay.
The one going this way?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yes.
I guess I just remembered a lot about the heart. That's supposed to go to the heart.
Yes, it is going through the heart. That's right.
It's there. When that would really like actually happen, it was very much like, oh, I'm not doing this. Like, it's happening. Sounds
Right.
like that should be happening all the time with all the different stuff, and it's
That is where we would like to arrive, but
okay.
it may take a few years.
Yeah.
I can't say that I have that awareness on a constant basis, but just as any of us will admit to the fact that we have good days and less good days when
Right.
we're practicing or flowing. I'll have a day when I practically would say, I don't really know where that came from. It was wonderful.
Yeah.
I mean, I do know where it came from, but there isn't a sense of particularly that I did it.
Hmm.
I did do it. I was the person moving, but there was more than just the physical movement.
Right.
But believe me, it doesn't happen every time, and it does depend. Certainly on the amount of practice you do, the consistency of your practice, what's going on in your life.
Yeah.
Where is your mind? On a day of stress and anxiety, it's pretty hard to have a really good practice.
Right.
But you have a really, I think, a really good awareness, general awareness of the energy. I don't think that's, you're not, I have and I have had students who had difficulty feeling anything.
Hmm.
And you're not, you're not stuck in that place. So
Yeah.
I feel like it's more, maybe not thinking too much about it.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. I think I get my own way.
We all do to some degree. Anyway, shall we continue?
Yeah.
Or do you have another question? I didn't mean to cut that off.
No, nope. Well, I do. The what the heck was it? Oh, the 4 points when how because I know I don't know how to ask it. Like, how rigid should those be in terms of not allowing, like, how much difference between where these are pointing and these are pointing is like correct? Because I
0.
right. So it, but what about like during a swing?
What about during a swing?
So like just right, because it seems like it should just always be 0.
That's right.
But then I have then I find myself like really like, okay, like it's all connected, So how do you have like that loosey goosey sort of like me? I'm like going this way and I'm going that way, but these, because like my shoulders, I stop and then my shoulders keep going.
Yeah.
At the end of my hip movement, my shoulders are like, wee.
Yeah, so you're trying to do too much. You're going beyond your 70%.
Okay.
And the problem, of course, is that I'm going to talk more about that today, but the problem is that as soon as you do that, you lose a connection that's really important in the body in terms of the energy and how you're affecting your internal organs, which is one of the major things that we're doing on a health basis.
Okay.
So that's an issue, that how much you turn is an issue that comes up over and over and over and over in everything we do, because our tendency is that we want to go further.
Right.
We want to do more. And
Mhm.
it's not a matter of doing more, it's a matter of doing what's appropriate to the fullest, but not beyond. Because as soon as you go beyond, you start decreasing the effectiveness.
Right.
So that's a big deal, really. Learning to not do that. And it's sometimes kind of hard to see, because the arms, for instance, if you're talking about doing a swing, like Master Joe's swings, excuse me, and we'll get into some different swings in this practice, but the hands and arms go way beyond where the shoulders go.
Right. Right.
And you have to not let the arms pull the shoulders beyond their appropriate alignment with the qua.
Right.
That's nice for me to say. It's not necessarily easy to do, but I think that it is important to begin to try to really feel that connection between the shoulders nest and the qua, because there is a very direct energetic connection there, because it is two ends of the left and right channels in the body. So it's a very powerful energetic pathway that eventually gets relatively easy to be aware of. But it's I understand it's very easy to not keep those points aligned, because we have in all our exercise things, we're taught to do more.
Mhm. Right.
And so we have to approach this with a different mental attitude.
Okay. Yeah. I think knowing that it should be none, that like and if it's more than none, it's you're trying too hard essentially.
Yep.
Um is helpful because like it's that like, well, it feels a little more like, ooh, look, I'm doing a thing.
Yeah.
Like, oh, like I'm so smooth because like, look, like my shoulders have a nice like slow down and speed up, so it must be good. It must be better. But no, like no, that's just wrong.
Yeah,
um
it is.
Helpful. Okay.
And it takes a while to um, to break that attitude, to get the units together, to get those 4 points to align and to hold,
Right.
because it's so easy not to.
Yeah. Right. I'm like, well, it's just like looks better to me. Like, oh yeah, like doing the thing. So yeah, no, I just needed the reminder. But yeah.
um, one of the things kind of interesting is an awareness that eventually you will have is when you're rotating and shifting from side to side, one of the things that's happening, and I know you know there are several different energy pathways happening simultaneously, but one of them, of course, is the energy just moving up and down the body. And one of the things you discover is that when you don't keep the 4 points together, you lose that. There is a break. Something happens to it. It gets interrupted.
Hmm.
So if you can, that's one of the ways to begin to tune into that, is to try to be aware of that movement of the energy up and down the body, particularly through the left and right channels, which also, of course, run through the legs and the arms and the head. But particularly, at the moment, we're talking about the part of it in the torso. And you can feel, you can begin to get to the point where you recognize when you're not maintaining optimum structure,
Yeah.
because you begin to lose energy flow.
Yeah. That's I think because I've asked before, like, well, how does like, even someone like Bruce, like, how do you hold an awareness of all the things all at once? Of like, if I'm working on whatever, or even if I'm just trying to flow.
Yeah.
It's like I can sense. I guess it's like, how do I know? How do I know what's not, like, I can sense what's there and what I'm feeling. It seems I have trouble noticing when things go away because they're not there anymore. So, you know what I mean? But because if I'm not paying attention, it's not there either. So I'm always just like, well, did I just stop paying attention, or did like?
Yeah. Well, if you're not paying attention, then you cannot possibly hold all of the details that are included in a Neigong practice in the conscious mind. It just can't do it. The maximum number of different details that you can maintain constantly, supposedly, in the conscious mind is 9.
9.
Give or plus 1 or 2. but not beyond that.
Mhm.
So you are dependent on the unconscious mind, which has absolutely no limit to the number of details that it can maintain awareness of.
Okay.
So,
Yeah.
that's why we work on this principle of separate and then combine.
Mhm.
Because you can focus on one principle, one element, until that's comfortable, till you can maintain it and you don't have to think about it. And then you can learn a new one and add it in.
Mhm.
And that's really our approach. And that's really kind of how you have to work on it, because if you try to learn 2 or 3 things at once, you can't do it.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Yeah.
So that's why practice needs to really have 2 parts. One is when you're working just on a single principle, maybe only in one posture or 2 postures or whatever. And then there is flowing when you're not trying to be aware of a specific, but rather simply flowing with whatever you can maintain automatically in your body.
Mhm. Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
So it ain't easy.
No.
It isn't easy to comprehend. It isn't easy to feel. It isn't. It isn't. It isn't easy to learn. It's
Yeah.
not. It's not really complex intellectually, but it isn't an easy practice.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. Yeah. No. It's a lot of learning the same thing, like again in a different way.
Uh-huh. Yeah. Well,
Okay.
I hope I've helped you some.
Yeah. Absolutely. Always.
Well, I try. So I want to talk about the midriff today, because it's really rather important. And it becomes a really big deal when you're turning from side to side. Your midriff, or your external obliques, if you want to use the correct term for the muscles in that area, is the area between the top of your hip bones and the bottom of your ribs. And your midriff has numerous functions. The muscles that are deep inside the midriff have some very distinct functions, but the big reason you're opening it up is not just because of the muscular functions. It's that when your left and right, it's where your left and right channels are. And if the midriff gets closed down, it affects the flow of energy in the left and the right channels, which is the reason why it's a big deal in Qigong and Tai Chi. It's also good for you physically as well. When the midriff opens, it opens space between the vertebrae of the spine from about the level of the navel to the heart. It's not going to grow 5 inches, but you realize that the difference between having a little, almost no space between your vertebrae and having just another tiny little bit is the difference in whether or not you're getting compressions there, which are messing up the signals going out of your spinal cord. It doesn't have to be a huge amount. It just needs to be something. If you're going to get a bit more space, it is actually dramatically more important than how much space you have between your vertebrae. So maintaining a little bit more on an ongoing basis, 24 hours a day, it's actually your health that's going to be, and where your nervous system functions from, that's whether or not you're going to get pain or you don't get pain. It's whether your body can adjust. But there's a second thing about lifting the midriff, which is harder to see. If the midriff is closed, it causes the chest to put pressure on the diaphragm and will cause you to breathe poorly. Your lungs are basically a bag, and it is the diaphragm going down that causes the air to go in, and the diaphragm going up that causes the air to go out. And that's how it works. The American Medical Association says that 90% of all Americans don't breathe properly. So Taoist breathing goes way beyond that. So opening the midriff takes the pressure off of your diaphragm and is connected through all sorts of sub-anatomy structures all the way up to the top of your head and all the way down to the bottom of your pelvis. The breathing motion of your diaphragm is essentially directly tied into how everything inside your whole torso moves. And that's somewhat important because internal organs that don't move with all the stuff inside your body, forget your muscles, I'm talking about the actual stuff that keeps you alive. If that stuff doesn't move, you've got problems. And when that stuff gets compressed, it initially internally blocks blood flow inside of you because of the pressure. So this business of lifting the midriff is kind of a big deal, because without that, it causes your vertebra to go down, and that pulls your neck and pulls your head. And doesn't everyone love neck and shoulder pain? So keeping your midriff open will make sure you get less of it. And that's very basic and very valuable. Also, if your midriff doesn't freeze, your ability to rotate, because of the way it affects your diaphragm, will freeze your butt muscles. It will freeze your psoas muscle. So lifting your midriff is important. It's not arbitrary, sort of like the 4 points. The larger message is that eventually it will free up the space, and that eventually will give you the ability to connect the energy in the left and right channels of your body in terms of Qigong. And that's a big issue. But still, you don't want to get you don't get to what's more important if the lesser stuff doesn't work. So do you understand what I mean by opening the midriff?
No. I think, like, I mean, if I had to guess, it would be the whole rib cage going up while the hips and go down. And
yeah, basically, yes.
Okay.
So you're just trying to make sure that that space in there between the hips and the ribs doesn't collapse. Because our tendency is to let it just relax.
Right.
And so it means that there has to be a constant, indeed, lifting or separating so that that space stays open. And so just to play with that a little bit, I'd like you to stand up and just shift and rotate from side to side and think about keeping that space open. Just feel what's happening there.
So I was gonna ask, and I
Yep.
immediately did. So, when I lift, I feel like I have a tendency to not be lifting, but like basically the front of my chest comes out. I'm exaggerating, right? Like
Yeah.
a lot, but it
Don't,
feels like, like, "Ugh,"
don't
and
do that.
yeah.
So, so you want the sense that those external obliques, those muscles in there, in that space,
Mhm.
are just lifting a little. So it's not a big, as with a lot of this stuff, it's not a big movement that causes the chest to pop out, because that immediately affects all kinds of things that we don't want.
Right.
So all we're talking about here is the difference between allowing that space there to collapse and keeping it just lifted enough so that it's open.
Yeah. Every time I get to a side too, it feels like it wants to close.
Yep.
Oh, okay.
So of course, the other thing in this is keeping everything relaxed while you do that. So not letting the shoulders stiffen up, or the chest, or the back.
Hmm.
So also make the dantian the center of your movement, not the chest. So what are you feeling?
Um, one that I really like to do this, or that my body wants to, and that it's not a, you know, it's a small difference between like closed and open. A lot smaller than, you know, I think it should be. But
What
that-
is?
that when if I let those obliques, you know, do what they want versus trying to keep them open,
Mm-hmm.
that like in my head I'm like, oh, like it should, like I should like get, you know, a half inch taller in my head, right?
Uh-huh.
But the actual release and relaxation of that to get it is like a millimeter.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, okay. But it feels way better immediate, you know, if I'm getting it. It's
Yep.
also like a very impossible thing to have noticed before. I don't know. Yeah, it's very tiny, and it really likes to squeeze to, I guess, let's try to pull me over to one side.
Uh-huh.
And if I really focus on my feet, it makes it easier until I try to talk and do it at the same time. To not let it shut as I'm moving.
Yeah. So that is really important that it not shut down,
Yeah.
because one of the major reasons for all of this, of course, is how it affects the internal organs and glands. And the part of the reason for both the 4 points and the midriff and even a lot of other stuff that I'll talk about in a moment, but is that it causes a continual squeezing and releasing of the internal organs as you're rotating and shifting from side to side.
If it's squeezing and releasing, so it's not that, because it seemed like no matter what I did, when I got to a side, the space was less.
Mm-hmm. Well, there is a certain element there. I mean, remember that your qua is closing as you go to the side.
Yeah, I guess so. If having it open the whole way through is supposed to help it have a, you know, squeeze and release, I guess my question would be: is the squeeze at the side?
The squeeze is not in the midriff.
Okay.
Aha. We're keeping the midriff open so that the rotating of the legs and the opening and closing of the qua is causing the movement in the organs.
That makes more sense. Okay.
That's good. So
Good to know not to, so it shouldn't shut really at all.
no, that's right.
Okay.
So that so the movement here should not allow the midriff to close on either side. You want to keep the midriff open constantly. But when you think about the Kwa, if we just focus on one side at a time, as you go to the side, this Kwa is closing. And as you come back to center and go to the other side, it's opening. And then it's closing. So there is a constant opening and closing, and each Kwa obviously is doing the opposite. So when this Kwa closes, this one is opening and reverse. And at the same time, you have a twisting of the legs that is going on. Remember, we've talked pretty much in the past probably about twisting in the arms. Well, you want the soft tissue of the legs to also twist. So as this Kwa closes, this leg is twisting outward, actually. And you're sending energy out, squeezing energy out of some of the organs. And as it opens, you're twisting inward on this leg, and that's bringing fresh energy in to the organs. So you have really the motions of the Kwa and the legs, and actually the gluteal muscles of the butt are the ones that are causing the actual squeezing and releasing in the organs, and the organs, of course, are for all intents and purposes hanging off of the spine. And so unlike four-legged animals, we don't naturally move those the way they do. If you watch a cow walking, and you can actually see their organs, the whole belly moving as they walk, a human doesn't have that benefit. And so we have to cause that, and that's part of what this movement does in the twisting and opening and closing of the legs and the Kwa and the gluteal muscles. And so while you're doing all of that, you have to keep the midriff open and keep the 4 points together. And as you're doing this, it gets to be really important that the movement doesn't stop. And there are two ways that we deal with how we keep the motion going at the sides. So one is the principle we've talked about undoubtedly before, where we think of it like the old rubber band airplanes, where you wind up the propeller and it winds all the way up, and then it unwinds and it winds up and it unwinds. So you have that continual motion back and forth, and that of course is in the twisting of the legs and the opening and closing of the Kwa. The other is, and this will come up in cloud hands, which we'll be getting into, I think, in the next class. But I'm going to mention it now because it's kind of an interesting way to think of this, and that is, in Master Joe's terminology, rounding the corner. And in that, what's happening is that as you rotate and shift to the side, the weight moves towards the heel on that foot. And as you start back, there is a little, very subtle beginning to shift the weight towards the toe, which is where it ends up when you go to the other side, where you have actually gone back onto the heel. So that eventually in this version of going from side to side, you have a very subtle, and I'm exaggerating this movement at the moment, but there's a very subtle rounding of the corner out here at the side. It's subtler than what I was doing, but I just wanted you to see what the movement is.
Yeah, for that rounding, just, and like I'll exaggerate, is it, I'm on the heel, basically, should I get to like the toe and then move, or should like the midpoint of the figure 8 be in the middle of the?
It's in the middle.
Yeah, okay, that makes sense.
It's too logical.
Yeah. Okay. I don't know how to describe it, but
Mhm.
when, like with the rubber band thing,
Uh-huh.
there's a tendency for me to want to do like whatever the heck this is, where I'm like, do. I imagine that shouldn't be there. Like it should be like a smooth, because like I was thinking about like a rubber band playing, like the moment you take it away is like, it's more right at the beginning, and then
Yeah.
it's still applying, but it's less and less all the way through.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know if I'm just probably way overthinking it, but I was kind of like having that sense of like, go.
There isn't a noticeable change of pace.
Okay.
So it's just a rough concept that the sense that you're winding up on one side and then coming back and winding up and coming back and winding up and coming back. And the ideal is, which is why the sort of figure 8 movement, which isn't literally a figure 8, but it is figure 8-ish, shall we say, why it works so nicely is that it takes care of the problem of how do you round the corner of stopping and starting back.
Right, because you never actually stop.
So that you never actually stop.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So there's another hole.
Yeah. I'm gonna just leave it. Never mind.
Okay.
Okay. This, I like, you told it, and then I like was like, yeah, okay. And now I don't know why, just thinking about the twisting.
Mm-hmm.
It now again like doesn't, I don't want to accept it, I suppose, that that kind of makes sense. If I'm on this leg and I want to go that way, I have to push that way. But you're saying that, so I like, if someone was like, which way should you twist? I'd be like, out. I need to push. And I think this is kind of what I was trying to get at with the dryer thing of, but you're not, you're pulling energy in. Why? Because like I put my foot on a scale. If I put my foot on a scale.
Yeah.
And I know this is like way to Western or whatever the heck, and I measured, the scale would get heavier.
Uh-huh.
Even.
Yep. And
Wow.
what does that do?
What does the scale getting heavier do?
What does that movement do?
Pulling it in, you mean?
Uh-huh. Okay. So you're pulling energy in.
Mm-hmm.
So, and you pushed it out on the other side.
Right. So why is the scale getting heavier on the foot I'm leaving? You know, as I'm pushing it.
Well, is it getting heavier? Because you've just shifted your weight off of that leg. Doesn't seem to me that's getting heavier.
I guess I don't know. I need two scales. I imagine it would be because like if I was, because I need to be able to push against it. You know what I mean? Like if I was thinking about it like that,
So
right?
you're talking about something that's going to measure pressure, not weight. So yes, you're absolutely correct. There is a pressure
Yeah, you're right.
there. It doesn't necessarily equate with weight.
Well, yeah, because weight is pressure, isn't it? It's the pressure of mass on a thing. Okay, that works. I can deal with that.
Oh, good.
Yeah. Okay. Cool.
No, I'm just. Yeah, that's what I thought. So, just intellectually, there are two ways that you can cause the turning to happen. You actually, excuse me, can turn your legs by using the waist to cause the legs to turn, or you can turn the legs to cause the waist to turn.
Okay.
And we do both from time to time. So that's just pointing that out.
Maybe I suppose neither is better than the other.
Depends on the
Hmm.
application and the movement.
Okay, right. Yeah.
There are particularly in God's plane and the clouds, there are particular energetic movements where it is better to have the legs causing the movement than it is to have the waist causing it.
Okay.
It's actually more complete. So I talked about that. I talked about twisting of the legs, so that's really, so yeah, we talked about the qua movement. Okay. So I'm going to do, would like you to do one more. One more. Sorry for, I don't know where I got this frog, but suddenly I got a frog.
Do you want to get some water? 'Cause I could use the bathroom.
Okay,
Okay.
a trade.
Yeah.
See you in a bit. Half hour or so.
Hello.
Hi there. I'm not sure that it helped very much, but maybe a little. So, oh, good. So let's do kind of a review practice.
Sure.
So I'll talk you through a bunch of stuff. So stand up and start with feet together. And step out to a wide bow stance to Mabu. Not bow stance, sorry, to Mabu.
Sure.
Just stand for a moment, feel your alignments. Breathe. And sink your mind through your body. And allow that to sink your chi through your body. And then extend your mind through your body. And first, just shift your weight from side to side. Begin to be aware of keeping your midriff open. And then begin to add rotation.
I know. I'm I'm turning on the music. Hold on. Still right here. Hey, you.
Make sure you're only rotating to 70%. Endeavoring to keep the motion going, constantly turning and shifting. Be aware of your qua opening and closing. Really feel the inward and outward turning and twisting of the legs. Let the legs turn the waist. And feel the gluteal muscles turning with the thighs. And eventually you want to be aware of the energy flowing in and out of the internal organs. Okay, so relax. Yes.
Just my back does not like to stay open.
Oh,
Yeah. I don't know. Good. The legs turning instead of the hips turning the legs is difficult to, I don't know, I need to play with it more.
Yeah,
And with the twisting, I find my mind likes to trick me into thinking like, hey, yeah, you know, like if I'm pushing off here, I'll be like, okay, like that needs to pull in. And it's like, yeah, you are. Yeah, you're going the right way. And then like I'll do, you know, go twice. And I'm like, no, I'm not. At some point, it's switched. And it's like, oh yeah, well, like in. And I'm like, that's not in. I don't, you know, so like I have to focus on that. And then, yeah.
so, yeah, so you need to focus on one of these at a time.
Right.
I threw them all at you at once. But just as a review.
Yeah, no, I think that's good, right? It's just, it's funny how quickly it likes to fall back into whatever, you know, habit it has.
Yeah.
I'm like, okay, like you get it, and it's like, yeah. I'm like, okay, I'm gonna go somewhere else. Like, okay, I got it. And I'm like, you know, I'm like, all right, I'm like, what's going on with the back here? And it's like, like going the wrong way. Okay.
Yeah. Andrew, you're going through the same things we all go through. You're not unusual in that way.
Yeah.
But I think you're doing well.
Thank you. Oh, thank you.
Keep working on smoothing that motion out.
Yeah, I for one moment I was like, I'll try to like round the corner while I do all this, and I like started turning the wrong way, and I was like, I'm gonna not do that.
Yeah, it's easy enough to add that in later.
Yeah,
Absolutely. Absolutely. So how about some yang style?
yeah, we can try. I think we got a different bed since we've last done this. This is, I have no room.
Uh-huh.
So yeah, I think it's gonna be fun. Yeah, but we can try.
Well, we'll just do the best you can do.
Yeah. Would you like to come with me? Since I'm gonna have to reset every 4 seconds, it would be. Oh my gosh.
Or would it be better just to work on specific postures rather than try to flow?
That's what I was thinking. That I think that would be best.
Okay. So it seemed to me that one of the things, but push downward is one of those places that actually contains a couple of things you were talking about in your first questions.
Right.
So the problem with the way we're doing this is that the suggestion is to practice in the course of one circular movement of the body, 2 different pushing downwards. So there's a lot going on in a very short space. And actually, is easier here than it is in the 8 gates, because you have a whole circle. But part of it is being aware of the movement of the elbows and the scapula, so that the arms are continuously rotating. So my elbows are coming in and the scapula are going in towards the spine, and then they're going out away from the spine, and the back of the hands are pushing downward. And then drawing in, the elbows are coming in, the scapula are coming in, and then at the last part of the rise, the elbows and scapula are going out and the palms are pushing downward. So the part of this is that when you go from press forward, that you have to start immediately going in and then out and then in and then out. So that if you don't immediately begin to make that transition, if you wait, you run out of time and space and movement to do it.
Mhm.
So this first one, you have that movement that you were talking about earlier, in that you're actually pulling that energy in and then pushing downward with the back of the arms, and then continuing forward, pulling energy in and then out. So it is a tricky posture. I understand that. Did that help?
Yeah, yes, it did. Yep. Because I always would cut. It was apparently not clear to me that this is out and then in again. My hands are all messed up, but then yeah, I had forgotten about the first.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You got to get that pulling the energy in so you can send it out, and then pull it in again and send it out.
That makes sense. Yeah, of course, right? Because I was like, I was just in, out.
You could do it that way.
Yeah.
That wouldn't be wrong. Just didn't happen to be what we're doing.
Right. Yeah, I got to play with that.
Okay.
Yeah.
So where else do you have questions or?
I think basically after Cloud Hands, just almost everything.
Oh, only that. Okay.
Because I do, you know, this happens in everything that we've ever done, where
Yeah.
it's like, because it's the beginning, you get that the most.
Yep.
You know what I mean? And like, I don't have a consistent enough thing where it's like that over time smooths out to like not matter. So I'm like, oh yeah, like, you know, very slowly it's like, well, that part is now like the beginning. So yeah, it's just like at the end of the thing, I'm always like, yeah, I've done it like 5 times. You know, like all together, like, so yeah.
So do you have, are you not sure about the transition from cloud hands to single whip
No, just
or after single whip?
kind of like the whole sequence of the kick, like all the way through the kicks.
Yeah,
Just kind of a refresher on all of that would be
Yep.
good, because I pretty much get to cloud hands and then it's completely hit or miss of if I know where to go from there.
yeah,
So
I can understand that.
yeah.
Okay, let me switch cameras here. We'll,
So I think if we go through it, then I can find what's wrong.
yeah. So when you get to that last step in cloud hands, you're coming clear in and turning a little left and then stepping forward and rotating and shifting onto that leg, which takes you into embrace the moon and brings the other leg forward. Protect the groin. And then you rotate and good. Step back and you go into single whip. And then you have high pat the horse. So you shift forward and reset and up to high pat.
Can you do that again?
So from single whip, when you shift onto the left foot, you're just sitting on the left. You're not rotating or turning there. The arms fold in, and so they're coming straight in front of your torso.
Mm-hmm.
Rotating or doing anything, really. They're just coming to here. And then when you get to 100%, that allows you to rotate and reset that right foot. And as you do that, that begins to change the arm. So as you turn to place that foot, the arms begin to separate. The right starts up, begins to let go of crane speak. The left starts down. And then you're rotating right, sitting back onto that right foot. And that rotation pulls the arms in and the right up and the left down. And then as you arrive at 100% on the right, you rotate back to the left, rising, which resets the left foot into a cat stance, drives the right hand out in a face strike, and draws the left in a trap towards the waist. Nothing to it.
Easy. Okay.
So if you're in single whip, you just shift forward onto the left, reset the right leg, and the arms begin to separate. Keep turning right and back onto the right leg to 100%, and then turn left, rising to face the side in high pat the horse. Yeah. Question?
No, 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 I just need to move my arms a lot less, basically. They're like done, and I'm like halfway sunk to the right.
Yeah.
But yeah, okay.
So the other is actually, yeah. So the coordination there is a little tricky in that the arms are folding in, they're rotating and rising and sinking and continuing. So they're moving all the time.
Yeah, particularly my left hand wants to be done before I've gone to the right.
Yep.
Okay.
So then from here, you're sinking and rotating right to embrace the moon. So you're bending in and drawing the left leg in, and then rotating and stepping to the rear corner, and you're stepping wide enough for a bow stance. So then you shift forward and you go into ward off left, which I presume probably isn't a problem.
Yeah, that's good.
Then you shift, just shift onto the left, and the arms fold. They do not rotate. They just fold in. So they're coming up in front of you. They're going zoop.
Mm-hmm.
And then at that point, you're going to do a low, very small little, this is not a, most of the time at least, it is not actually a kick. It's a little hook of the leg in
Okay.
application.
Okay.
So when you get to here, this movement doesn't have to be a great big movement.
Mhm.
It really is just a small little hook. Grab their ankle, pull them off balance. And it's the ideal is that you do that little hook, and it's hook, kick, or strike. So it's a little hook kick followed by a strike from the right blade hand.
Yeah, that makes sense conceptually.
Yeah, a little difficult to do at first because your tendency is you want to do it all together.
Yeah, yeah,
And you really would like it to be 1, 2. And then you come back in and step out for a right bow stance, shift on to it and go to ward off right, and repeat it in mirror image, kick, strike. Well, you did that very well. So kick, strike, and then, so do you understand what you would like to do there?
yep, yep. I believe so.
Okay. And then you're actually going to spin ideally after that kick, you come back and you're going to spin left on the right heel so that you end up then facing to the right rear corner, and you're going to do a kick with heel with the left leg. So you go into kick and come back into center and then step. And that's where we go into 2 brush knees, which you've done before. So that's same brush knees, followed by planting punch. And here you're beginning to, as you shift, you're beginning to sink, form a fist in the right hand, and the left hand is going down. So you're shifting onto that left foot, sinking a little, and then turn, push down with the left palm, punch down with the right fist.
That's new.
Yeah,
Okay, cool. After this spin,
yeah.
so we've spun on the left heel, right? Left heel.
No, we've spun on the right heel.
That's great. Perfect. Because I wanted to. Okay. Yeah. Can we do that again?
So you kicked with the left,
To the left.
and then when you come back in, you sink into that right, and you spin on the right heel. And you're actually spinning 180 degrees.
Mm-hmm.
And then from there, you're going to do a kick with heel to straight to the side of the left heel.
Yep. Okay. Kick. And then the step to the brush knees.
So after you do your kick, you come back into center and then step forward,
Okay.
and then you go right into brush knee, same as we've done before.
Yeah.
So boom, boom, boom. And we have 2 brush knees. Boom, boom, boom. And then planting punch starts the same as if you were going to do another brush knee, except now you're going down, turn, push, and punch.
We'll have to go over that. But okay. I just want to get that here. Kick. Brush knee. Brush knee. Okay. Okay. Cool. Yeah.
Well, it'll give you something else to play with.
Yeah. Thank you.
I wanted to be sure you had a new posture today.
For that, it's like this. I guess because I don't. It feels like you're doing like a punch in, like you're like punching them all the way in the ground.
Yep.
But I don't know. When I watch you do it, it seems like there's like 2 sort of like this is a punch, and like I don't know. You somehow like have I don't know. Can you show it again?
Yes, and I'm gonna face the camera.
Yeah, that's fine.
That might. So we've done brush knee. So we come back and the arms fold and they rotate in, and you step forward. And the difference here is that instead of just shifting forward into brush knee, you're going to sink and shift forward.
Okay.
And what happens there is that the left arm does the same palm movement going down, and but the right begins to fold into a fist. So you're sinking into that first movement, And then you're rotating and the left palm is turning into push down on, and the right follows with the punch.
Okay.
So when you've done brush knee, you sit back and turn, you shift onto the right and step, sink as you shift forward, and the left arm is going down a little. And then as you rotate, the left pushes down and the right follows with a punch.
I want to punch the earth. I think it's a little too far.
Yeah, don't lock the elbow.
Okay. Yeah. Right.
You can reach down, but don't, depends how far you sink the body.
Right.
Yeah, don't forget to push down with the left palm.
Yeah. I keep forgetting it's there.
Yeah. You have two arms, Andrew.
Right.
So in that first shift, the left arm sinks. It
Right.
doesn't turn, but it goes down. So here's another place weird. Pung movement is rising, outwardly going force. Well, here Pung is down, but it's still outwardly moving force. It's connecting so it can push downward and then followed by the punch.
Right. Also, that's just a shift and then this is a rotate?
Yes, yes,
That makes more sense.
just like the others.
Right, right. I was kind of doing both. Nope. No. Oh. And then for this part, it feels like I don't know, it looks like you've shifted. The rotate is push pressing. Oh, maybe that's why.
Yeah,
The rotate is, all right, so you've shifted. Can the arm keep going down while I rotate, or should I?
Yep. Absolutely. They both go down. So
Should I be moving forward though?
what I'm seeing is that it looks like your fist, oh, wait a minute. That help you if I'm not. So when you start forward, you're primarily going down, and this arm it goes down and out a little bit. It's connecting in a poem. The right, as you do that, is just starting to fold into the fist. It doesn't turn yet. Neither does the left turn. If you're just sinking or shifting, there's no rotation. So you're here and all you're doing is this. The left is going down, the right is pretty much staying where it is. And when you turn here, both arms are starting to turn. The left is going down first to push. And notice that the fist, as it comes around, doesn't go up. What I'm seeing you do is lift your shoulder and go up.
Okay.
It is just going down. It's just going boom. Okay,
Yeah, except don't lock your elbow. But yeah,
but what?
I locked my elbow.
Aha.
Um. Hmm. Hmm. Sort of. Not really. I'll have to play with this.
Yeah.
But yeah, okay.
So I did record this, so there is a recording.
Okay, awesome. That'll be helpful.
Yeah. So
Cool.
have a
All right.
have a good time here. This is the first class of a new session.
Okay, yeah. Yeah. Just text me what I owe.
Okay.
That'll be the easiest for me.
Okay, will do.
Cool.
And say hi to Kaya
Sure.
and your sweet children.
Sure. Yeah.
And we look forward to seeing them one of these days. I think Jane's working out a date with Kaya for them to get together anyway.
Okay. Cool.
But
Cool.
I look forward to seeing you as well.
Yeah. Same here. It's been a while, huh?
Yes, it has.
Yeah, that'd be nice.
Yes, it has. This ongoing pandemic has interrupted all our lives.
Yeah. Yeah.
Although
But yeah.
we did go to California and spend a week with our grand puppy.
Nice. Yeah. That's it. Just saw them.
What?
I was just making a joke. I said, "Oh yeah, that's all. You just went for the puppy."
That's right. Well, we did see them for a day and a half before they left, but
Nice.
we didn't fortunately really see them when they came back because of the 22 family members that went on the cruise. Of course, 5 came back with COVID.
Oh, wow.
But they didn't infect us. So
Good. That's good.
but we were very careful.
Right.
We're adamant mask wearers and
Yeah. Yeah.
hand cleaners and all the things that have changed our lives.
No, I know. Well, I'm glad. Yeah, I'm glad that worked out.
Yeah, it was good. Well, hang in there. I hope things are smooth.
Me too.
Yeah.
If they're not, I can be. That's what I tell myself.
Yes, that's right. You can be. Good for you.
Doesn't really work too good all the time, but that's all right.
But when it does, it's great.
Yeah. Now and then I'm like, whoa. Can we do this all the time? That'd be great. Thank you. Wow.
Well, take care and we'll see you soon.
Bye.
Bye.